Hi, Alan Schimmel, DevOps.com, here with Rohit Jainendra, RJ, of Electric Cloud. And RJ actually presented here at the DevOps Enterprise Summit 2015 on Electric Cloud's new release, Electric Flow release.
That's right.
And RJ, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about that?
Sure thing, Alan. So Electric Flow Release is a new offering from Electric Cloud, and it's built on the same Electric Flow platform that we have other offerings on for builds as well as deployment. But as we looked at the landscape, what we found is in organizations, there's essentially two kinds of releases that are going on. One is sort of the traditional big bang release that happens once every 6 months, several hundred applications being deployed on the weekend, people are frantically working that weekend, etc. And then there's the next generation, right? What you hear about here at the conference, all the next generation continuous delivery, deploying 30 minutes after code check-in and so on. And there's a different tool set for that. And so what we're finding among our customers is they're having to make a choice. Do they choose the tool set to support the traditional models, or do they use sort of the newer tool set? And kind of having to pick different tool sets leads to a little bit of fragmentation in terms of visibility, because at the end of the day, they're all deploying into production, right? And so with Electric Flow Release, we wanted to solve that problem. And so what we've done is created an offering that no matter what kind of release practice you have, whether you're doing traditional release management or if you're doing continuous delivery, it can all be done within one tool. So you have that visibility across different styles of working, different applications that you're deploying. And that's a little bit differentiated in the market.
Absolutely. So RJ, we were talking off camera earlier, and we spoke a little bit about, you can't just turn on DevOps and finish it. DevOps is a journey. It's a process and a journey that takes time and builds on what came before. Why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about your thoughts on that?
So certainly, I think I'm really excited by something I heard this morning in the session, which is HP was up there talking about chat ops, right? And so I think we're starting to see folks moving beyond kind of assembling the tool chain, right? So I think a lot of people at the conference now have some idea of what their tool chain needs to look like to do continuous delivery, to do DevOps. But now they're starting to think about how to make it simpler, how to have folks interact with the systems that may not have the deep technical knowledge. And so I really like the idea of this whole notion of chat ops, which is almost like augmented virtual reality for DevOps.
Yeah.
Right. So I think what we're going to see is more sophistication in terms of the technology to make it more accessible to a broader set of folks, right? Yeah. So in terms of you can interact with the technology in a chat room, right? And just kind of plain textual, kind of natural language. I think we're going to see more monitoring. And yesterday we heard about IBM using Watson to get kind of do some big data analytics and again learn from that. So I think we're going to see more sophistication in the technology, which is, as a technologist, it just makes it a lot more exciting for me.
It's an exciting time to be alive.
Absolutely.
RJ, what did you were at last year's
Yes, I was.
Summit? What do you, beyond that there's more people here obviously, what do you see as the biggest, or some of the biggest differences?
So I think the conversation has moved forward. I think last year was sort of getting like-minded folks together. It was almost that, kind of coming together of tribes saying, hey, you're this other company and you're doing the same thing that I'm trying to accomplish. And so I think last year it was a lot of folks finding each other. I think this year the conversation has moved forward, and the stories that are being told now are not so much about sort of that initial kind of step in the journey, but okay, we all have been doing this now for a year or a little bit more in case of some companies. And so now it's starting to get into some of the harder problems, right? And so okay, once you do have the automation in place, what are the things that you need to do? We're hearing a little bit more about testing, right? And I think that is another problem that has to be solved. Once you automate your whole delivery process, well, if things just take too long, even if they're automated, then what do you do, right? And so I think there are a few talks about acceleration that are starting to pop up of how do you reduce time to get things done. So definitely kind of the conversation is evolving as we get into this year's sessions.
Absolutely. Well, RJ, we are going to wrap up. first of all, thank you for being our guest here. Enjoy the rest of DevOps Enterprise Summit, and you've appeared on webinars and stuff at DevOps.com. Keep us posted on the progress at Electric Cloud.
Absolutely, will do.
Okay,
Thanks, Alan.
RJ, thank you.
All right.
This is Alan Schimmel for DevOps.com.